There's some rumors going on that you practice very much skiing. What's about that?
I love skiing, and so for about a few months now, I've had a dream to qualify and participate in the next Winter Olympics.
So imagine you're a world-famous pop violinist. You've sold millions of albums, filled out stadiums all around the world, and are worth millions of dollars. After reaching the peak of your profession, what's your next move? To become an Olympian in a sport that you casually did for fun as a kid. I'm obviously joking, right? Well, I wish I was. Here's a story of how one woman who was used to pulling a few strings had a few more pulled for her to become an Olympic athlete. Vanessa Mae was born on the 27th of October 1978 in Singapore, to a Singaporean mother and Thai father. After adoption by a British father, she then moved to London at the age of 4, where she began playing the violin. She immediately excelled, and as a child she studied with one of China's most renowned music professors, Lin Zhaoji, at the National Conservatoire of Music in Beijing. Vanessa Mae then continued her world-class education at London's Royal College of Music. Hungry for fame, Vanessa Mae used her talents to break tradition and enter the pop music world. In 1995, at just 17 years old, she released her first pop album, The Violin Player, which fused her classical training with techno rhythms and pop beats. She went on to collaborate with the likes of Janet Jackson and played on tour with Michael Jackson. Her original style made her completely stand out as a unique artist, and just over a decade into her career, she had apparently amassed a personal fortune of over £30 million. Not a bad set of achievements before the age of 30. But as Vanessa Mae entered her 30s, she became bored. She had achieved everything that there was to achieve in music. She had other interests, which included skiing, which she had learnt as a child on family holidays. So in 2010, she took up residence in the Swiss Alpine resort of Zermatt, one of the best resorts in the entire world. While sticking to music throughout the week, she'd escape on the slopes all weekend. During those days of hitting the slopes, at some point a thought popped into her head. What if this was something she could excel at as well, on the global stage and in front of millions of people? Sure, she had sold millions of records, but because of her niche, she was never a global household name beyond the minds of those into classical music. Whether it was the thin air of being at altitude or just the dogged mindset of someone who had been elite at something else before, Vanessa Mae decided that she would become an Olympic alpine skier. But there was just one problem. She wasn't very good. A woman in her early 30s who had only ever really skied recreationally. There was no chance in hell she could ever represent the UK. But she had a Thai biological father, remember. And if there's one thing that Thailand isn't famous for, it's its skiing. So Vanessa Mae registered as a Thai skier. As Thailand had no alpine skiers in the top 500 for world rankings, they could still send one male and one female competitor to the Olympics as long as they met some lesser criteria. The skier must have 140 points or less when starting at least 5 internationally recognised slalom or giant slalom events. The scoring process in slalom skiing isn't exactly straightforward, but basically the lower your score, the better you rank. You incur penalty points for missing gates or cutting them too close. And all the while you're against the clock, so the faster your run is, the better your score. But Vanessa Mae realised that even this lesser criteria would be difficult for her to achieve. So in 2013, she decided to train full-time and intensely try and hone her craft so that she would give herself a fighting chance of meeting those requirements. And now here's where things get, shall we say, a bit fiddly. In early 2014, only a month before the Winter Olympics in Sochi, a giant slalom competition was held in Slovenia, at the specific request of Vanessa Mae's management and the Thai Olympic Committee. This would be the last chance for her to achieve the necessary point score set out by the International Ski and Snowboard Federation in order for her to qualify for the Olympics. And amazingly, during the event, Vanessa Mae managed to put in performances that put her score just under the necessary 140-point average. Only a week before this event, she was still around 130 points higher than this cutoff point. It was the ultimate Olympic feel-good story, the newbie showing that even in your mid-30s, if you dedicate yourself to something, you can achieve anything. And so Vanessa Mae became a hero and an even bigger household name in Thailand, as she became the first woman to represent the country at a Winter Olympics. However, come the big event just a month later, her performance, unsurprisingly, was less than stellar. She came last out 67 in the giant slalom, finishing almost a minute behind gold medal winner Tina Mays. Not that Vanessa Mae cared, she had fulfilled her dream of becoming an Olympian. And that was that. Well, it wasn't really. A few months later, in July 2014, 4 Slovenian ski competition organisers were reported to have each been given 4-year bans from the sport because of supposedly fixing Sochi Winter Olympic qualifications for the Thai ski team. It was alleged that these events were only organised with the sole goal to successfully qualify Vanessa Mae, by any means necessary. Then in November 2014, the FSI hearing panel issued its own findings after investigating the qualification event. They stated that a number of factors led them to believe that this qualification event was indeed a fix, with the aim of deliberately creating race results that would lower Vanessa Mae's average ranking points. Within their evidence, they disclosed the following. Vanessa Mae competed in a national junior championship as part of this event, where at the time she was 35 years of age, at least 14 years older than any other competitor. The results of the two races included a competitor who was not actually present or had even raced on that day. Another competitor was placed second in one race despite the fact she'd fell. Her time was understood to have been adjusted afterwards by more than 10 seconds. At least one competitor started away from the starting gate that was manually opened by the starter when she was already out on the course, effectively giving her a huge head start. A previously retired competitor with the best FIS points in the competition took part for the sole purpose of lowering the penalty to the benefit of the participants in the races. The weather conditions that day were so bad that no regular race could have been held, and any comparable competition in Slovenia would have been cancelled, according to the competition referee. And the race courses were not changed for the second runs, as is required by the FIS rules. With this evidence in mind, the FIS issued a worldwide 4-year ban against Vanessa Mae, believing that she, along with her management team and the Thai Olympic Committee, led this scam. They also voided the results of this qualification event and wrote to the International Olympic Committee to argue that Vanessa Mae should have never been allowed to compete in the Sochi Olympics. It was bizarre. How could this squeaky clean musical prodigy who just had a sporting dream pull off such a ruse? Why would she have done this? Was reaching the Olympics just one big publicity stunt to resurrect her music career and sell a few more albums and concert tickets? Or was this just the actions of a millionaire using their power and influence to buy whatever experience they wanted? But Vanessa Mae appealed this decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and in June 2015 they voided her ban, saying that there was a lack of evidence that she herself had manipulated the races. However, they chose to uphold the decision to void the actual qualification results given how defective they were, and that Vanessa Mae should be considered ineligible for the Sochi Games that she had participated in. With this in mind, many argued that technically Vanessa Mae was no longer an Olympian. But as the International Olympic Committee itself never took any action against her, in their eyes, Vanessa Mae could still be called an Olympian.